Just for a few minutes, and then I'll turn it back on when we get to the data part. But what I saw is you're really focused more on leadership. And here I just pulled a couple of quotes here from what Peter Senge. He's done a lot of work around organizational leadership and change. And are we not in the midst of huge change again? Aren't we always? But with the race to the top and the competitive bidding going on for grants, and now they're changing how we assess teachers in the state. They're talking about changing that whole measure to tying teacher effectiveness to a year's worth of growth in the classroom. I mean, there's just a lot of change coming up for us as boards. And leadership is certainly the target now of creating systems where every child is successful. And I like the way he talks here that it really isn't just at the board level. It's formal and it's informal and it's happening throughout the system. And then when people throughout the system, which is the board level on down, become stewards of the children, the system, and one another, then they provide the context for change. So in order to develop your leadership, you really need sessions like this to continue to grow in your own professional development. And again, you model that for others. And then to pull just another one, Richard Elmore did a lot of work around what does leadership look like. And he did this in 2000 when the standards and assessments first came into play. He said, if we're going to be successful using standards and assessments to raise the bar for kids, leadership needs to look different. And I like this because oftentimes we talk about raising up the bottom, but he says it's not any system and any, one system or one school, right? But what can school boards do so that all units are improving at some rate? And I think that's when I look at your board self-evaluation and look at your data, I think that's where you're at. You're really working pretty well as a team. There's pretty good evidence of that, and we'll talk about that. So leadership is what we're here to help you do, is develop a stronger leadership team that does work on improving student achievement, which is the ultimate measure of all of our success, the communities, people in the system as well. So that's what we're after here. Board self-evaluation, it always takes you back to what's our framework for governance, right? It helps you as a board have that conversation. And when you've got new people on, it's just really great for those of you that have been around a while to make sure you all have a common understanding of what is our role, how do we want to function in Hoover, and by board self-evaluation, evidence supports that boards that do professional development have higher student achievement. So I'm delighted to share that news with you too. So what I thought we'd do tonight, and I understand you're going to stay till about 10, is that right? No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. I figure about an hour and a half. Just see they were really listening at this one. And we're going to review again, what are your expectations, if there are any particular issues that you want to talk about. Look at your evaluation. We're doing it a little different now. We'll allow you just to reflect on the data, look at it, analyze it. What do you see? What's it telling you? What are your strengths? What are some areas you might want to develop? And in the very end, create those action steps that you might need, as we did 2 years ago. And Ms. Donna has a list of those things that, that the board set, and I see evidence that they achieved a lot of those things. So, what does the board have to know, believe, and do? And I always point to this. What is your job? Really, the board has one job, and that is to achieve the mission of Hoover City Schools. And when I go in and look at your mission statement, I think it sets a pretty high bar. And by saying that, it says, which students does it say in that?
All of them.
It's every student. So are you achieving your mission? How do you feel about that?
Well, we don't have much to do with the curriculum. That always come back to that. The state mandates most of that, don't they?
Yeah, and so you might need to look a little deeper at your mission statement. The curriculum is the how, but are your students developing exemplary character? Are they achieving personal excellence? And that's the part that is your job. And you're absolutely right. Boards don't need to get involved in curriculum. You need to focus on results. Are your children demonstrating the kind of character that you have in your mission statement? And are they achieving personal excellence? How do you feel about that as a board?
Well, but here we're talking about the school district mission, not a board mission.
Correct. Your job is to achieve the district mission. Am I confused about that? Or would you agree with me?
It's a lot.
It it is.
But again,
It doesn't say the board, but I will tell you, who's responsible ultimately for the achievement of your students? The
the
board.
board,
You're appointed to do that. Can you do that alone? No,
No.
that's where self-evaluation helps you. Let's get clear about what our role is. Let's get clear about what we can and should be doing in order to achieve that mission. That's your job. Now, how you do that is where we want to get into all the details, right? Are we doing the things we know we can do to impact that mission? Are we clear about whether or not our kids are achieving personal excellence? That's a pretty high bar. Every child, by the way. You didn't say some, you said every single child. So with that, let's dive right into the rating scale on your, just as a reminder, on your assessment was 1 unsatisfactory to, on up to 5 being excellent, okay? And in your packet, this was the one from 2008. This is how we used to do it. That was pretty hard to read and analyze. This is your assessment for this year. And those are the categories. Now I wanted to start you out with some really good news. I took the data from 2 years ago, calculated the averages of those, and here's how it looks for Hoover City School Board for 2 years in a row in terms of your data. Okay? Now, I want to mention that we've grown in our assessment a little bit. We've added a few questions to a couple of those categories. So I want you to, let me first show the rest of the audience while you're looking at that. 2008 is the blue line, 2010 is the red line. And consistently across the board, we see growth in the board's perception of how they're doing their job. Now, I want to note that we did add a couple of questions on board meetings, and we did add a couple of questions on vision goals and goal setting. So they're not exactly the same. They're the same questions, but we added a few. So they're not exactly in those 2 areas comparing apples to apples, but it's close enough for you to be able to say whether or not we think we've improved. So what do you see when you look at that chart?
Improvement.
Where?
across the board.
Across the board, absolutely.
Well, the vision, goal setting, and planning, I guess, is the largest gap.
Yeah. And I remember when I came here 2 years ago, you were just in the
We
throes
had a
of-
new superintendent 2
you got-
years
and,
ago,
and
though, if
you
you think about
started
it.
remember you were starting your strategic planning process. And that was clearly an area last time where you were really low. So now what does all of this mean? What I want to do is have you go through your packets, and if you open your packet up there, I want to put you into teams of 2, and you've got the data from each one of those categories, and you also have a little sheet here, the orange sheet there that you can write on. So I want you to look at each one of those categories. Board superintendent relations, you flip the page to the next page. Those are all the questions on that category. And I want you to work with a partner and then figure out what are our strengths in this area and what are our weaknesses. And certainly, you two can work together. If this arrangement works out okay, that works out fine with me. And so you're just going to put a few notes in based on each one of these categories. Feel free to write right on your charts if you want to. Okay, where do you see yourself high? Now let me walk through this for you. Each board member's answers are in here. Board member 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're going to be able to tell. The very last bar is going to be your average. So what I generally do is look across and see, well, which ones are the highest bars? And those are when you look at the average, the purple one at the very right side. So on board superintendent relations, you have, for example, the second from the last, you're 5. Everyone thought so. So that's obviously a really high strength of this board. Maintains a professional compensation package for the superintendent.